Welcome back to my class again. Today we are going to look at file handling. Now, before I do this class, because after this class, I'm moving you to object-oriented programming. So this class will be the last part of season 2. Now in season 3, I'm going to look at object-oriented programming, which is the real core part of Python language. But today, I want to show you analogy between the Python language and the human language, just like this English that I'm using to do this class. So let's just see the analogy. First, I will say human language, right? Yeah, I will say Python language, right? Okay, from this human language, we come to thought, right? Then here we have um, Python program. So here we have mind, we have brain, and then we have sense organ. Okay. Okay. Now here we have, yeah, Python language, Python program. Then we have Python interpreter. Here we have operating system. Here we have, okay. So here we give you this. All right. So this is the comparison that the analogy I want to give to you. So in this one, we go this way. In this one, we go this way. This one will go this way. This one you go this way, and this one you go this way. So this is the analogy I want to give to you. Now, if you look at this is the human language. This is Python language. Now, after from the Python language, you create the Python program that you write, the code that you write, which is what we've been writing. So we have been writing code using this language to write this program, right? And then there is the interpreter that is going to read this program line by line. Whatever instruction the interpreter encounters is going to execute it. Now, the topic we want to do is file handling. Um, File handling. This is the topic we want to do. So what does this mean? It's simply the creation of files, writing into the file, and then reading from the file. That is basically it. Now, where is this file handling? Where is this file going to exist? The file is going to exist inside your hard drive. You know what has been happening is when you want to run a program, it is first loaded into the memory, right? Now, that memory part is also here, is also here, right? The memory is also here. The only person that have access to that memory is the operating system, not the Python program. Now, you are writing the Python program using the Python language. The only person who understands this Python program and is going to interact with the operating system is the Python interpreter. Now, you can open your operating system, right? You can open your computer system and you just right click on it and then you click open a file. Maybe you open your notepad and then you type something inside and you save that notepad. That is a file that you have created. in the operating system. But now I don't want to create that file in the operating system. I want to create it from this RAM. This is a completely different RAM. This is a RAM. This operating system is a completely different RAM. This is another RAM. Now I can create my file from this RAM, right? And the file will remain in the hard drive. Because when you load into the memory and you execute your file, your program, after the execution of that program, after that session, everything in that memory will disappear unless you saved it into the hard drive, right? Now, I want to stay in this Python world. This is a RAM. I want to stay here and create a file. But that file will be saved in my hard drive. So I need the help of the operating system. And the only person that can interact with the operating system to create that file in this realm of the hardware, right? This place is the realm of the hardware. So even my hard drive is also in this realm, right? So just like you have this. So in this analogy, the operating system is like the brain. The Python interpreter is like the mind, right? The Python program is like your human thought. Human thoughts are actually created from the language that you know. So you are actually creating your thought via any language that you know. You can create it via English. You can create it via your dialect, right? That is how you create your thought. And then your thought is being interpreted by the mind. Then based on the data that is supplied or that is gathered from here, you mix it, you send instruction to the brain, and then the brain sends instruction to your physical body. So now for me to turn this way, there is a thought in me that triggered this movement. There's a thought in me that is triggering all this, my action, my demonstration, and everything. Now, that is exactly how this is too. So, with the Python language, you write a Python program. The Python interpreter reads this program, which is a set of instructions, line by line. Now, once it encounters functions that require the creation of a file, it will now communicate with this guy to help create that file in this place. So that is what we want to look at in this class. Okay, so now let's look at file handling. What am I trying to do? I want to create a file in the operating system. But this time around, I don't want to create it from the operating system. I want to create it from the Python program RAM, right? From that analogy that I showed to you, the Python program is higher than the operating system. So I want to create everything there, just like using my PyCharm. So I'm going to create this file there. But this file will be saved in the hard drive. Now, the Python program cannot access the hard drive. It will require the help of the operating system to do that. Okay? So now, I'm going to use the Python programming language to write a Python program in which the Python interpreter is going to read and then communicate with the operating system to help in creating that file. And then I will write into the file and also read from the file using from the Python RAM. I'm not doing anything from the operating system RAM, right? So how do I do that? Using the Python program language, I will declare a variable called, say, FO. Let's say I'll just give this file object. Then I will assign. Now, I'm going to call from the Python world, I'm going to call the open function. So this is the function I'm going to use, the open function. Now, this open function is going to expect parameters. The first parameter will be the file name. And then the next one will be the mode, the access mode. Am I going to write to it, or am I going to read from it? Or am I going to append something to it? So that is what will happen. So I'm going to call, I'm going to write the file name. So let's say I type etete. So the file name is etete, right? Dot txt. This is the file name. Now I'm going to put it in the what? Write mode. So the write mode will be W, like this. Now there are other parameters that can also be given to this open function, like the buffer. but I'm not going to add that. Those are optionals. Even this one is optional. Now, if I didn't put this, by default, it will be read mode. So I'm putting the write mode. I want to write into the file. So this is the file name that I've supplied. So this is my open function. So what would this open function do in the Python world? This open function, once it is encountered by the interpreter, is going to create a file object. That's what it's going to create. And now this is just like saying that you design the blueprint of a house, and then you have to build the physical house. You now give that architectural design to an engineer who will build the physical house. Now, in that blueprint, there are rooms, the bedroom, the parlor, the kitchen, all those things are there, but you can't be there. You can't live there. So now you have to build the physical house, then you can now access the rooms in the physical house. This is how it is. This guy is going to build an object, so the file object. Then once the object is built, there are attributes inside this object, which are like those rooms now that you are not going to be able to access. So that file object will now be able to call a write method and then write a string into the file, and then we will now close. There's also another person again that will close the file. Then we'll now write another program that will read from that file and print it out on our screen for us. So this is the open function we've called, and we'll supply this to the open function. Now it's going to create a file object and assign it to this variable. Now, the file object has been created. We are going to write into this. So to write into it, we'll say fo, right, dot, we'll call the write method. Now, this is the write method. Now, inside this write method, I am going to say, I am your Python teacher, right? So I'll put this like this. This is what I have written. So this, I'm going to create this file, then write this inside the file. Then I will close. So the object is going to call another method, close. This is it. So I've written the program. So now when you open, where, like in the PyCharm, where I created this, there's a folder where I created this, or directory where I created this in my operating system. Once that is done, this is going to be created in that folder. So this will be created, and inside this will be written inside. Then I will now close the file. That is what I've done. Now, if I now want to read from the file, there are other accesses I can give here. I can also say write read, but I don't want to do it that way. So this is one mode in which I have given. I have to write another mode here for you to be able to read from the file. And that one, if I'm going to read from it, all I need to do is declare another variable again, which is another file object, and then call the open function again, right? And this time around, supply the file dot txt, right? And this time is in the read mode. This one is also now going to create a file object, right? And that file object will now call, let's put it, the file object will now call my read method, right? But I want to assign it to, I want to print it out on the screen. So I can either assign it to a variable before I call my print function to print it, or I can directly supply this to my print function. So if I'm going to do, so let me just do that. So I can just say print, and then I will call the fo, which is the file object that this open function has created, dot read. This is a method which is an attribute inside this object that is going to be used to read from this file. Then I will now close it. Then I will come here and I will say fo dot close. So I have to call my close function to close the file. So this is it. So when I write this program on my PyCharm and I run it, it's just going to this place is just going to print out this content. This one is going to print it out. So this is what I want to show you in this class. And then in subsequent classes, before I finish this, I'm actually going to bring this out. This is write mode. This is read mode. I'm going to bring out read write mode. And then I'm also going to do append. So, and then we'll round up this class. So let's go to PyCharm and see practically how you run this. This is our PyCharm. Now let's quickly just do a brief demonstration of what I showed you on the screen. So now, if you look at this, this is the location in my hard drive where my projects are located, all these things that I've created. So now what I want to do is to create another file that will be saved here. And then I'll write into that file and then also read from that file. So before, let's just create another one and just call it file handling, right? File handling.py. So this is where we are going to write our program. So the first thing I will do is I will declare a variable. I'll call it file object, and then I'll call the open function, and this open function will be expecting parameter. So it's going to expect parameter, and I'm going to type, right? I can use my single quote. So I'll just type etete. That was the file name I gave in the class. So etete.txt is a text file. So, and I'm going to open it in write mode, right? So let's do this. I'm going to open it in write mode. Then I'll come here. Now, the file object has been created. So I'm going to call the write function. Now, if you want to see all the attributes of this file object that has been created, I can actually pass it into my direct dir function, and it will display that to me. So now, first and foremost, let's just call this write function, and then or I can come here and I say print, right, and dir, and put everything inside. So I am asking it to print all the directories, all the attributes of this file object that I've created. Then I will now call fo.write. Inside it, I will write I am your Python teacher for today. Now, that is all I'm writing into that place. Then I'm going to close my file, fo.close. I'm going to call the close function. All right, so that is done. Now, now I can call this. So if I execute this, my file will be created, and you see it here, right? Because this is the part where it's going to be. So this file will be created inside this folder, and then this will have been written into it. Now, okay, let me do that. I execute it. Now, you see, the file has been created. And let's look for the file here. This is the file. The file has been created. But I asked my print function to show me the inside of the attribute of this directory. And that is what it showed me here. So let's look for this write method. This is it. This is the write method that I called. So now I'm going to call the read method, which is this one. I'm going to call this one to read the content of this file and print it out on the screen. So I will simply come here and I will call it again. Now, what this means is that I've closed the file. So I'm going to open the file again, which is fo. Then I'll call the open function and supply that same file to it. Supply the file to it, and then I'll put it in read mode. I put it in read mode. Then here I am going to say fo.read. So I'm calling that this one that you are seeing here, this method, I'm calling it fo.read. But I want it to display on the screen. So I'm going to supply it to my print function. If I don't want it that way, I can say fo.read and I will assign it to a variable. I can call it content and then I will assign it to it. Then I will come here and say print content, right? Then I will say fo.close. I'm closing the file so that I can release the resources. So if I execute this again, it will print out this, right? It will print out this, and then it will print out this content. I am your Python teacher for today, below here. So I do this. Now you see, it's still going to do this one. It's going to print out this because it has created the object, and it's going to print out all the attributes of this object. Then it will close the file. This one again will now open the file and read the content and then send it out to my print function to display on the screen. So this content now is what is showing me here. I am your Python teacher for today. So the file has been created. Look at it, datated.txt. I created this file in my computer, in my hard drive from the Python world. So I can go to my hard drive, go to this location, and I will find this file. So to do that, I look at this location. See, this is C to my hard drive, drive C. Then users, John, PyCharm project, and then PyCharm this. So let's see that my drive C is here. Then I go to users. I click on John. Then PyCharm project, Python project, and I will see. Look at it. This is the text file that I created from the Python world. Now I'm in the operating system, in my hard drive. I'm using my operating system to access this. So if I open this using Notepad, open with Notepad. Now look at the content of my file. This is it. I am your Python teacher for today. So, but I didn't create this file by coming to this place to create. Now this is it in this location. So you can see this is the same location, which is this location. So now you've seen the file that I created from the Python realm, which is the Python world, and is existing in the hard drive. But like I told you, this Python interpreter that is reading this line, this code line by line, will depend on the operating system to create the file in the hard drive. So that is what I want to show you in this class. So if you like this video, do not forget to click on the like button. Thank you and see you in my next class. Bye-bye.